This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse. When I was looking at your resume and I was like, okay, so he's always been in Canada. No, you have come to LA to do some auditioning and stuff. When did you come to LA?
See, that's the thing. I've been in and out of LA literally for about 8 or 9 years at this point. And then now I live here. Like, it's been a while. I've been between Vancouver and LA for a while. So I've been in LA when, like, downtown, you don't go to downtown LA. Then now it's all nice and trendy. I was here when Echo Park is, you don't go to Echo Park. And then
And
now it's
now
all
it's the
trendy.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're buying an Echo Park. Oh, good for you. I
Yeah.
know. It's been a
It's like,
big
what?
change. Then
So I've been here for a while.
what is the difference for you between auditioning in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, wherever, versus auditioning in LA?
Think it's easy. I think the main difference that I've noticed doing between both, because when you're in Canada, when you're in the audition room, you don't, it's such a sacred space where you have to be like quiet and everyone is reading and rehearsing in their brains, but there's no talking. It's quiet, it's peaceful. But when I came down here, everyone's like, "Hey man, how you doing? What's going on? Oh, you were really good in that show," and stuff like that. So like the difference between the audition rooms struck me because I'm like, I get it. We're all competing, but it's all friendly. But can we just take that talk outside of the room? So that was a huge difference. And that was really hard for me to grasp my head around that. And then, oh man, there's so many times you get into that room and it would freak me out because, oh, you're that character on that TV show that I watched all the time and I'm obsessed with.
Mhm.
Because when How I Would Get Away with Murder was on, like two of the actors would walk in and they were auditioning, they're right there. That would scare me so much.
And do you feel like in Canada you didn't see that as much, where you weren't seeing this quote unquote people that are on TV week after week versus being in LA and it's the shows that you're watching and you're watching that actor come in. I think every actor too is always sitting in the waiting room. I like to cast when I'm in the waiting room where I'm like, oh, she's gonna get
Do
it. I
you?
would 100% give it to her. Look at her hair. I would love that so much. Oh no, look at her outfit. She looks the part. Okay. Now I'm off in a different land. So
Yeah.
in Canada, is it not the same? You're not seeing like the working actor every day there, or everybody's just down in their lane, not paying attention?
You will see once in a while. You see it. You're not going to see it all the time. But everyone is just in their own space, and everyone's giving each other their space to get into character and be right there. It's just that's basically what we do. So it was so different coming down here. I'm like, what is going on? So I had to
Uh-huh.
step out of the audition room, and then when they call me, then I'll come in. Otherwise, I'm like, I can't do this, y'all.
I know it's a little hard. It's a little hard.
Yeah.
Or I feel like in LA too, not well, a little bit in New York, you could hear the person auditioning. How can you now like now in self-tapes, we don't see that, right? Unless we actually get to see somebody else's tape, but you don't get to see
Yeah.
what they're doing. Whereas like Steve Howie did the show, he talked about hearing people do auditions. And then he was borrowing their ideas right before he went in. He said, that's a good turn. Oh, yeah, I love that. Oh, they're laughing at that. Let me grab that. Let me go. In LA, you could hear that when we used to be in the room, when we used to be,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah. I've heard that a couple of times. That would mess me up even more, I think.
Uh,
Back in the, yeah, that messed me up.
okay. Worst audition. I'm going to start here. I want to hear your worst audition, and then we're gonna do the fun trajectory, Benjamin. But right now, like worst audition. Let's just start out the gates.
Oh my God, my worst audition. I forgot the project, but there's so many auditions, but the worst one, I felt absolutely horrible because I was in the room. Also, the difference between Canada and the US, specifically in Canada, we're taught to never have your script in your hands. If you have your script in your hands, you're literally not ready. So that's my mentality, and that's how I've always been. And down here, everyone has their scripts in their hands. So that messed me up when I was coming down here. So this one particular audition, I was in the room, the script was in my hands, and every single time a script is in my hand, it messes me up. And a lot of people are like, if you don't have your script in your hands, then that tells the producer or the casting director it's not a polished work and all that stuff like that. But I just don't know. I don't like that term because I don't really believe that, to be honest. But the script was in my hand, and I was with the casting director, and I couldn't I got the lines, one or two lines out, then I had to go down here, and then looking at the script messed me up. And the casting director just had to stop the tape, and she calmed me down. She's like, "It's okay, you can have it up and you can read it." And it's just, I can't, my brain does not operate like that. So it was just literally her just calming me down and telling me it's okay, you can read onto it. And I left the audition and I literally cried because that's just not how I operated back then.
And thereafter, when did this land? Do you remember just the time frame? Was it the early 2000, like that 2007 between 2010, or was this in the last
That was
10,
like
8 to 10 years when you've been coming back and forth?
at the last 8 to 10 years, yeah. Yeah, it was like 2014, 2015 when I was still like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life or what is this business?
Uh-huh. What is this? What is this business? Literally. So then how do you pivot after that? Or every audition after that, are you completely off book? That's your MO to be able to perform how you would like to in the room.
Yeah, so that's I figured out what my thing. It's I like what Adam said on his thing too. I hate auditioning in person. I don't like it. My anxiety gets the best of me. Does it do the same for you?
Yeah, yes. I took myself out of auditioning in room a couple of times in my career before we were on self tapes. I
Mm,
just didn't, yeah, my anxiety sometimes would shoot through the roof and then the panic would ensue. And then it's, I'm not doing what I came here to do. I also
absolutely.
just like being able to manipulate frame, make sure I'm telling the story. Because also at the beginning of my career, when I would walk in, I was too nervous to be like, how are you framing this? Now that
Mm,
I tape all the time, since I've gone back in the room, I run the room where I'm like, where are you putting the camera? Can you do it over here? What's happening here? But at the beginning of your
yeah,
career, when you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited just to be in LA and to audition.
exactly.
Thank you so much. Stand here, do what, like you're asking for permission. Me asking
Exactly.
for permission gave me anxiety
Yeah.
once I
Same.
got out of that. So, how do you feel then about self tapes? I want to hear your self tape process now that
I
it's the thing.
love it. I'm
Yes.
obsessed with it because when I was doing all these auditions and being in with the casting director, I literally failed every single time because like my anxiety goes completely out through the roof. I can't do it. So a lot of the times, the majority of the times, I'll say, "Hey, awesome." Unless you're bringing me in with the producers and director, I don't want to be in the room. I rather do a self tape because it's not even about controlling the process of that for me because I only go to one place in LA, Hotshot Self Tapes. It's the only place I go in LA to do a self tape because they make you look as if you're literally on set, and that's
It
what I
does.
love doing.
Uh-huh.
So I took myself out of that and just doing it self tapes. It's a lot easier. It gives me ability to breathe
Mhm.
and I'm able to if one little moment doesn't work or one beat doesn't work, I'm able to change it and make it great. So I guess it's slightly control, but I just had to get rid of one thing, which is just my anxiety. Once my anxiety's gone, I'm able to work being the character and just do my thing, and then watch it back and to see if like my angle or something doesn't work. Then I'm like, okay, sweet, let's do it again. But I only do self tapes. I hate saying that, but I have more success on self tapes than I do in person.
I couldn't agree with you more. I also think it's like getting to watch your like game day tapes, right? Where if you walk
Yeah,
into the room and they're like, "Okay, thank you," you're like, okay, either I did great or they don't want to see anything else or I bombed. If you're taping yourself and you're like, oh, that was good, then you can go and watch and be like, yeah, I missed that transition. Oh shit, I'm too profile. Let me just go right back in. That to me is
mhm,
like a damn good working actor where you're not going to implode. If you go in
yeah,
a room, you don't have that opportunity to be like, can I just watch? Let me just watch. They don't have
yeah,
time.
yeah.
You don't have time. They don't have time. So they're moving on to the next one. So I'm gonna reverse engineer. Then your audition for Duster was that? Did you go to Hot Shots to
I
tape that?
did. I
I would
did. I
love to
only
know.
go to
What a great premise for a show. I want to know start to finish this audition story if you're willing to go there about getting the script. 1970s. Did you go in time period? Like, how did you approach what you laid down for this show?
See, I'm what I the, when I tell this story, people are gonna be like, "Huh?" I literally only had two auditions for the show.
Two?
I had the first audition, then they gave me notes, and then I had the second, which I guess is the callback. But I literally only had two. There is the thing there. You said this before on something. It's like once something is if something is meant for you, it's for you. When I read the sides for this, Didn't know what it was. Didn't have any idea like what was going, like all that kind of stuff. But the second I read it, I knew, and I'm pretty sure the script wasn't the actual script. It was something else because they didn't want to. They're still super secret about the show until it comes out.
Oh, so you had
Um,
dummy sides? You had dummy
I
sides
had
for your
dummy
characters?
sides.
Yep.
Yeah, really
Even better. I'm
similar to
glad I
what's
asked.
happening. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So is it
very
still
similar.
1970s, still in the alignment of the world, let's say?
Yeah, it was still alignment in the world, which is really good, but it wasn't the size of what we actually had in shot. But there was something about, I knew this, I hate saying this, but I knew it was for me because there's sometimes when you read a script and you understand the character, like physically, like my body literally goes, oh, whoa, why do I feel this? What is this? Oh, I totally understand this. I want to, there's something, my body just viscerally just felt everything about it. And I said, whoa, what is this? And then when I dived in, because for me, I have to know a character literally from when the character is born to what the age is. If I don't know that, I can't play a character. And it's just the way I am now as an actor. I need to know everything from when you were a baby to what you were playing as a kid to your relationship with your dad and everything. And the relationship in this role is just so pivotal. So those had to be very concrete for me. So I had to understand that so well. And I had to know where Royce was coming from and what he was going through and just all of these things. I had to know it so well. And when I read these sides, I got where he was coming from. I understood why his relationship is with his father and with Jim, Josh's character, like why they're so like really close. And the second I read that, I was like, holy shite. It was electrifying. That's only ever happened 3 times in my career.
Are the other ones designated survivor in The Killing? Where are the other ones?
Oh yeah, The Killing too, but Designated Survivor for sure. That was just so easy. And the LA Complex was like my first big break.
That's
That was
okay.
a ridiculous audition story. Like
I know. I can't wait to get to it. I can't wait to get to it. But I wanted to get the self tapes because I'll be remiss not to ask this. A lot of people, we talk craft, we talk technique on here. When you just said, I like building a character from born until where this world is taking place, sometimes we don't
mm.
have that time. Or are you able to truncate it? Like, how do you do that in such a quick turnaround time? Because I'm imagining for Duster, you didn't have a week, or did you have a lot of time?
No, I think I had like 5 days. I think I had 4 or 5 days. And 4 or 5 days for me is beyond plenty enough. Larry Moss's book is something I use very predominantly. Like that's one of my hardcore books that I use. And he has like all the questions in the back. That's amazing. And another thing too, I have an acting coach, Andrew McElroy in Vancouver. He always says, and this is something I put into practice every goddamn time, take your character out for a walk. Leave your house as that character. Go order a coffee as that character. Go sit down and be that character for the day or for a couple hours. That is the most incredible thing and the most incredible advice I've ever had in my entire experience. That is for me, that just solidifies the character so well because for me personally, because I trust myself as an actor, but I don't trust myself as an actor. I trust that I know I will get the work done. I don't trust myself in sense of if I like just skim and do everything, I don't trust myself to get the entire character in the world complete. So for me, in order for me to trust myself, I have to complete the entire character from birth to the age he is right now. Go out, walk, and see the character. Go. That is still pivotal to me. I need to know how the character thinks as well. And I always have a book of my God, my Royce books are ridiculous. It's 2 books of just how he speaks and how he thinks and everything like that. That is so pivotal to me because I want to, I guess it's method. I don't know what this is, but I need to disappear. If Ben is having a thought and it's not Royce or a character's thought, for me, I have not done my work properly.
So then you took Royce for a walk, right?
I took Royce for a walk. I took Royce a lot of places for me to understand who he was as a person.
Before you taped it, before you taped it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
then
I
you go
have
in,
to.
you went into Hot Shots, you tape this, you throw this down, you feel good about it. You send it off. What are the notes? Because also in this world of self-taping now, actors write into me all the time, or even when I'm coaching, they're like, okay, I made this tape. Here's the note that comes in an email form, or maybe it's a game of telephone where the note goes to casting, goes to your agent or manager, now comes to you. Sometimes I wonder how that always transpires. And then sometimes people have a hard time taking the note. So what, do you remember what the note was that you just had to tweak for the tape?
Yeah, the note was just to make him a little bit just calmer, a little bit easygoing, just throw things away a little bit more, but keep like the intensity that I had in the first audition. So I
Oh my gosh,
had,
I love the polarity of that. Can you chill out but keep the intensity? Do you hear if I heard that as a note, I'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Okay. So a little looser, keep the intensity. It's oxymoron.
yeah,
Like,
but I understood it. It wasn't specifically that. I'm messing it up, but it was something along those lines. Actually, I should have looked it up. But it's something along
no.
those lines. But it was the note was relatively easy for me to understand just based on the script that I had. So there's moments where I was like, I kept that intensity, but then I like breathe. I just brushed, made him a little bit easygoing, a little calm because I was smoking a joint in the for the audition because it was in the script, and I played with that moment so well, and it just I felt I was like, oh, and now I know what you guys want, and now I get him even more, and I know where you want him to go. So when stuff like that happens, and when you understand a note, I just feel so goddamn incredible because now it's like we know we can play. And I
Mhm.
like doing that. And people like doing that in the room. I don't like doing that in the room. I rather, yeah, you give it to me. I don't like it in the room. The room just
Well,
scares the crap out of me.
exactly. And I was going to ask about the killing audition if you actually smoked in the or used something to smoke in the audition because that the killing was in room, right? That wasn't on tape?
My God, that was so long ago. I think
No.
the killing, no, actually, the killing was a tape. All my really big things have been tapes. It was,
Actor after my
yeah.
own heart. I love that. Because again, people, all of our auditions will be like, no props. Don't use a prop. Don't memorize. Really,
Yeah.
please memorize. Please know what you're saying and know what you're doing. And use a motherfucking prop if it will help you. If it serves the story. If somebody's eating in a scene, eat in the
Mhm.
scene because it's just not going to work the same way. I always call it primary
Yeah.
secondary focus. So I love that you used that moment. You gave that prop a real reason to exist in the scene and it made it.
Because it's so important. Because of that
Yes.
scene, it was very fucking important. So I'm like,
Yes.
why am I not going to? I've heard that a bunch of times. Like, don't do this, don't do that, and like, I maybe if I followed a lot of rules, I would have been further in my career. But I'm like, for me, I rules yes, but there's certain things in this business no, because people are just gonna have their perspective on things. And for me, no, I need to figure out what works for me that brings the character alive. And if that's me smoking or that's me eating, I'm going to do that because that is what the character is doing. And I need to do that because it's specifically for this moment and specifically in this scene. So
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
Okay. And that smoking gets you the damn job. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then did they just call and they're like, it just was an offer at that point? Your tape was the test. No chemistry. You didn't need the chemistry with the
Oh, for
other character.
Duster?
Yes.
Yeah, no, there was no chemistry. I did the first one, they gave me notes. I did the second one, and they're like, yeah, it's him. And they didn't have anybody else in line from what I heard. From after I was like, there was no one else. It was just me. And I was like, oh shit, really? But then I was like, yeah, because it made sense because I understood this character so well. It's just
I,
it's a feeling, and I hate people like, oh, don't do your feelings, but no, there's something that and I can just attest to it because all the last three major things I've had is just this thing of understanding viscerally who this character is and what he wants out of life and where he's going and his thoughts and his feelings and everything viscerally filled me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I get it.
okay. So I'm going to ask you the tough question, and this might have a tough answer. I agree. Look, you've been working for a long time on paper since 2007, even before that, because of where you went to school. And I know post school, like you went and got training. So you've got your 10,000 hours. You've got your experience of knowing when it's your part. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're like, oh, this is, you read it, you got that chill. You're like, this is mine. Like, just very calm confidence. How do you not put that calm confidence on every single other project? So, like when you really want something, how are you not trying to project that onto the project? Because I have you had some heartbreaks before where you've been like, yeah, 100% mine. I've been told in the room, absolutely, this is yours. I'm like, I know it is. We all in agreement. And then I leave and that it doesn't go that way because there's so many other people. And then I'm heartbroken because I'm like, wait, I thought we were trusting each other. I know, but wait, the studio's not gonna, okay. So sometimes I think as an actor, we can force things into being versus let things. And you've had three experiences where you've been met, your energy's been met with This Is Mine. So, how do you not do that on the other projects in between? Or, better question, maybe, in between these projects that are so right to be yours, what are you doing to swing from that treetop to the other treetop? What are you doing in between to trust that another one's going to come like that?
I want to go back because you said I've never really, I've actually, no, I've never said, oh, this one is mine. I'm going to get it. Because I just have the feeling that I understand it so well that they'll see it. But I've never gone, oh, this is mine. I totally got it. Because I never know. Because I've just been seeing this business and seeing my friends. You just never actually know. I can only go with, I understand this character so well that I hope you understand that I know this character as much as and think that I know. So I've never left an audition like, oh yeah, I got that's mine. Because when I first started to do that, my brain would go, but back then I was not confident. Like I'm still not confident, but it only ever happens like the three times with me really understanding it. That's such a hard question because it's like,
It is. That's why I
but
said
in
this is a tough
between,
one. Then answer this because I had somebody write in the other day and they were like, I'm loving the show. Can you please ask actors what they're doing between these major, like, aha roles? Meaning they're either career changing roles, self-confident changing roles where you're like you got that validation of the preparation you did, you're going to be available for this, or the three roles that you talked about. What are you doing in between to keep your mental health, I think, in a good space so that when Duster comes along, when LA Complex comes along, Designated Survivor comes along, you're like, in between all those, I can tell people, I'm looking at it right now, there's a handful of years. There's
yeah,
4 or 5 years between I
yeah.
Am Syd Stone and Duster. Snowpiercer, you Designated Survivor 2019, then 2020, and then 2020, I Am Syd Stone. Amazing. What a great run. But then there's 4 or 5 years.
There's a lot in between those years where it's like, I'm not working. Like I'm not acting because I only quit my regular job when I was a bartender September 2018. And that's before I got Designated Survivor. And then, yeah,
What made you
2019.
quit? What made you quit then? What job made you quit? Or were you just, fuck it? I'm clearing the way.
It's part of it, fuck it, I'm clearing the way. And another part was I can't do two things at once. My brain can only do one thing really well, or I can attempt to do two things and then I'll be mediocre at it. So when I was bartending and I'm really great at what I was doing, and they wanted me to be a manager, but I said I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. So it was either quit, focus 150,000% on acting because I thought I really wasn't. So I scaled back on my focusing on my job as being a bartender. Still did my job great, but I was like, no, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. And then once I focused hardcore, then I booked Designated Survivor, and I was like, I love you guys, but I'm quitting. And then that's how like I focused, and I've never had a regular job since September 2018. But in between those times and taking care of my mental health, like it was I mean, it goes up and down as an actor. Like sometimes you'll work, but between when I booked LA Complex, like 2011, 2012, nothing really major happened until Designated 2018. So a lot of it was just figuring out my brain and figuring out one, can I do this? What do I need to do? And a lot of it was going to therapy. A lot of it was going to classes and being around other actors because that was really important. Like the community of just being with other actors was really huge. And that was so vital to me. So a lot of that and a lot of working too. But then that was really bad because I would take other people's shifts and then I was like working too much and then wasn't focusing on my craft and I wasn't reading like scripts and all these things. And I was messing up. And then same Andrew McElroy back in Vancouver. I was so stressed out one time and trying to figure out what am I doing that there was just one class where I was just working way too much and I wasn't eating properly. Then my acting coach was like, I need you to go eat a cheeseburger. Because I was just like, I can tell that you're just losing way too much weight and then something's going on. You need to figure out, you need to help yourself. Because I was just so stressed out about this business and how to make it work and it wasn't working. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why can't I do this? So between that, telling for him to go, tell me to go eat a cheeseburger, and then I started seeing a therapist, and then I was like, I started to get a sense of, I love this business. I don't really care if I make it anymore. And then around that time, I started traveling and seeing the world. And then once I started traveling and seeing the world, that was such a vital part of me understanding who I am as a person, because being in a country where you don't speak the language or you have no idea what is going on, you realize outside of this business, outside of Los Angeles, there is a whole world out there of people just doing regular, I guess, like just they're just living. They're just living. So like we put this pressure on ourselves, especially being in LA, of, oh my God, I have to be an actor, I have to do this and this. And no, you don't. Like it's fine. And that was the most liberating thing I've ever done in my entire experience. But a lot of me just in between shows, man, I just had to, God, therapy is the greatest thing on the entire planet.
I'm so glad you said that. I really think in order of this, I don't care how woo-woo this sounds, but to be of service to a story, to use your body, your
Yeah,
brain, your spirit, to be of service to the story that you're going to tell, your shit better be right. Otherwise,
exactly.
it's gonna creep in, and then it's your insecurities that you're dealing with. It's your lack of confidence in your body, what your body is actually able to do or not do will make you more eligible for roles or not eligible for roles.
Yeah,
So I really think keeping all of that in check. So it's a holistic training. I do
absolutely.
think at the end of the day, full holistic
Yeah,
training.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a two-line co-star.
That's why we created the Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
I want to hear Designated Survivor story, because for you to go to this place of I'm not going to continue to split my time and then have the energy meet you there. Okay, here's this role. And it's opposite Kiefer Sutherland. This was also a tape. I'm assuming yes.
oh God. Yeah, that was a tape also. Yeah, all my three things have been tapes. Yeah, I never went in at all.
And how was this audition? How was the audition versus working on the job? Kiefer's been working for a very long time, like since we were babies, right? So
Yeah.
you're watching somebody who doesn't even know he's riding the bike anymore. The bike is almost like there's no effort. I've also spoken to a lot of people that have worked with him. So I'm curious, you getting the job, doing your tape in a vacuum, right? And then working off of Kiefer. Share with me the difference between you being at home doing this self-tape, imagining what Kiefer's going to do in these scenes, in these moments, and then the on-the-job work.
Yeah. So audition when I had the audition, it wasn't my audition tape wasn't opposite Kiefer, it was opposite Troy, which was the main sub storyline that I had in the show. Once again, it was just that because we're trying to educate a lot of people on HIV and stigma and stuff like that. which a lot of people did not like, which I'm pretty sure that's why we didn't come back for season 4, because the show is so political. But that audition, I understood the character so well, and I understood specifically like being queer in real life. Like I understood what that relationship was, and the relationship was so pivotal because for me, I've had to have other friends too, because the show I did before that, it was like 2 Black queer people on screen. But we haven't had that in such a very long time. So that was pivotal, very pivotal for me to explore and understand and make sure that came out really well. So that was basically what my audition was. And yeah, people have heard things about Kiefer back and forth, but that was not my experience. The man is the most incredible individual I've ever met in my entire life. He is dedicated to what he does. He is so giving because I have I have 2 scenes with him, like one when we're in the Oval Office and one when we're in the car.
Yes.
And every single time he was like, "Hey, what do you want to rehearse? Do you need anything from me?" And I was like, "What? You want to rehearse with me? Because you're you." And yeah, let's rehearse. I'd love to rehearse if you want to rehearse. If you don't want to, that's okay. So yeah, I was like, "Yeah, let's rehearse." But he was so incredible, and he, I don't know if it's just because of who he is. He commanded that set. He was the president of the United States when he walked into that set. Everyone was quiet. We were ready to go. We were ready to work because the president was here. And I've never experienced that before. That was like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like, we're here to work. We can work. Once we're done working, we can go chat and do whatever we need to do. That set was so efficient and I absolutely love it. But that man is so cool.
It's
Great
nice
experience.
when you can work on, isn't it funny going from something that's very well oiled, efficient, ready to go, and then you step into the movie of the week or an independent
Yeah.
film, and it's a whole new world. I related to camp. Like every single one of these projects is a different summer camp or a different
Yeah.
country that you're visiting. You're like, oh, I have to understand how the dynamics work here and how I show up here. Where's my part in camp? How am I going to make sure not to get involved in any of the drama? Hopefully there is no drama. It's always the shows too that have no drama that end up going away. You're like, and damn, everything was well oiled. Okay, so then I have to ask, because you keep talking about LA complex, because this also feels like this is the role that kind of unifies Canada and LA. Like they're, especially the show even being about a bunch of
Yeah.
Canadian actors coming to LA, living in an apartment, trying to figure it out. A little meta, a little meta.
Just a little tiny bit.
This has come to you also it's while you're still in Canada.
Okay, this is how it started. So I did a live audition. It was okay. It was fine. And then I left. I think I did in LA. I did an audition in LA and I was like, it was fine. It was great. It wasn't great. And then I went back to Canada and then my Canadian agent, I think like a month after or like a month and a half after, she said, "Oh, did you go for LA Complex?" I was like, "Yeah, why? What's up?" She's, "Oh, they're still trying to search. They're still trying to find a role." So I didn't get it from like the month and a half, 2 months after I did it. Then I thought, interesting. And it was that first time I had that feeling and that instinct of, I know this character really well. I understand him. I just didn't get the opportunity inside that room because my anxiety and being in that room. So I think it was like a Thursday night. So on the Friday, I re-prepped the audition, taped it. I had one of the producers and like executive producer and one of the stars on my Facebook because in Canada because it was a Canadian production and back then you're like, oh yeah, Facebook, we'll just be friends on Facebook. So I did the audition like on a Friday, taped it, found Aaron who was on my Facebook. I said, hey, I already went out for this, but I really, really love this character and I redid the audition. I sent it to him on that weekend. And then he watched it and was, oh, wow, I really like this. I'm going to pass this on to the director. So he passes it on to the director. And I was like, okay, cool, awesome. And then the next like Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, some way through that week, my agent calls and she said,
Which
hey, did
one?
you,
LA or
like,
Canada? You Canadian?
Canada. Yeah. So she called, she's like, hey, did you send a tape to 4LA Complex again? I was like, yeah, sorry, I was going to tell you about that, but I really wanted to go out for it. And she's like, oh, it's great because they want to see you. I either booked it or they wanted to see a second audition, but I booked it. And then she was happy because I took, I don't know what, I guess you'd call it a leap of faith, but it was I knew that role I knew how to service that character and I understood the importance of playing that character and what it would do for other people in the world, especially the Black queer world, because we were not represented on television. And then I
Yeah.
booked it, and it's just because this is the other thing too. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to go to the casting director. That's going to go to the producer, who's going to go to the director. But I've worked in casting before. There's some times when you're in that room, and sure, you think you have a great audition, or you messed up too many times. That casting director would be like, "Don't put him on the tape." So I've seen that so many times when I was taping auditions back in Toronto. There's a bunch of times like you will not get on that tape. What I've sometimes started to do is I'm just gonna bypass this one aspect and just go to the next one because why not?
I always like to say there's a reason why we give our agents and managers 10%, because we should be doing 90% of the work to get our jobs. And what you just affirmed is you took matters into your own hands. I don't think there's anything wrong with that when you do it in a respectful way,
Absolutely.
when you can also back up your
Yeah.
request or your hustle with
Yeah.
some talent, then
Absolutely.
you're gonna find the puzzle piece. Okay, I want to ask a ton of business questions now. You working in casting in Toronto, you already gave us one thing that you noticed. What are some of the pros and cons you realized about actors while working in the casting office? One being like, you mess up, they're just not going to put you on the tape. They're just not going to, it's not a thing. What's some other things that you learned that really helped propel? I think it's the most invaluable thing an actor can do. It's hard to figure out how to do it now with self-tapes, but I worked in
Yeah.
so many casting offices and I was appalled and inspired at the same time, constantly, where I was like, wait, that's how you do that? And then just so inspired by the work that would come in or the casting directors that would fight for certain actors or just how
Yeah.
the conversation would go. Even as a reader, people would leave and I would be crying as the reader and be like, God, that was remarkable. And then
Absolutely.
casting would be like, yeah, that's not it. Next, I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So yeah, what did you take into your career?
Okay, so what I took in is how you walk into that room and that confidence is so you can you that's so valuable and so very important because if you come in unconfident, the entire room will know that you're not confident. So back when we were in the room and when I started, I tried to do that, but there was a couple times where yeah, I brought that in, and they know like this when you walk into a room, and if you are confident, the entire room knows that yeah, you're confident, you know what you're doing, and they can feel it, so they will take that off of you. That's one thing. Because working in Canada, it's that thing about having that paper in your hand. You can tell when someone's not I guess, ready or it's not completed on their feet, that they're not ready to actually bring that character to life. That was something I understood too. So that's why I try to never actually have it. Yeah, I've had that experience that you said too, where you will be crying as a reader and then the casting director will be like, yeah, no, I'm not 100% sure. And I love those other actors that come in, they know what they're doing. They may have their size in the head. They know what they're doing. They know how they look on camera. They know their angles. They know what really works. They know which eye to look in when the reader is there. They know how the camera is set up just by literally looking at it and or asking what the frame is. They know. They're so valuable about that. So I've taken that on set. If I'm on set and we're shooting medium close up or what we're shooting, like what exactly is the frame? I will go back, I will make friends with that camera guy, say, hey, what are we shooting, or what exactly are we looking at specifically? And that is the most valuable thing that I've brought in.
Yeah.
What
That's why I
else?
think
Yeah.
that's why I think self-tapes help is because you're
Mm,
at home practicing framing, lighting. Okay, how am I going to do this right here? So it just makes, if you're not getting to work right now on set at home, that's where you're getting to understand the hours and how to communicate once you get on. I think a really good tape should be able to be plopped into an episode. So the producers are
that
not even thinking. Because even, I love what you said, like coming into the room and being so confident. So casting, producers, everybody knew that they could trust you essentially on set.
exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
How do you see that translating in self tapes? The confidence. Like, how are you able to bring that into your, because you aren't walking into the room anymore. What do you
For
think?
me, I mean, I don't even, it's for me personally, I can only speak on my experience, but coming in for the self tapes and to be confident for a self tape, like I said before, like I have to know my character literally fully through. If I know him, if I know how he talks and how he walks, I'm literally fine. That's how I bring my confidence in because, like you said just before, is I want you to, that's why I was going to hot shots. I want you to see this self tape and be like, oh, we're ready to tape in 2 hours. We're good to go. He's
Mhm.
figured out everything. This looks beautiful. We're going to take this camera angle. We're going to put it right in. I want you to take that audition and plop it right into set right now. So in order for me and for my confidence, I need to know everything
Mhm.
about my character from literally birth to where he is now. So that's how I do it in confidence wise.
I love that. I think I always say too, the more you know about I call it content is your confidence. The more content you
Mm.
have about the story, about your character, that's going to be your confidence. If you're feeling shaky on this line, you haven't given enough content. There's
Yeah, 100%.
not there. So more business stuff, because I've got a lot of listeners who are in Canada wanting to make it to the States. I think we have probably more people now in the States that want to go to Canada because nothing's cheap here. But let's talk about management and agency. How you obviously had your Canadian agent first. Do you have an LA rep?
Right now, I'm in the process of fixing all my reps down here.
Okay,
Yeah,
lovely.
restructure.
I'm glad that you're restructuring because this is a perfect time to ask this question, or even how you've done it in the past. Because I think when you're dual, or you can work in various different countries, or you have different salespeople in different territories. That's a better way of saying it. Basically,
Yeah.
you got an agent in Canada to cover you for Canadian stuff that can also cover you for the state stuff, and vice versa. How do you run your business? How is it that you manage the two agents? Is it something like that if it comes in first from LA or the States, they get precedent? Are you splitting commissions? How do you handle your business?
So for me, I'm just a really so Canadian. I'm such a nice dude that I split.
You do
So
split.
I split because I'm restructuring my people down here. So I had an agent and a manager. We're restructuring everything, and then my agent up there. So we split everything because I just want to be fair. It's just how I am. And if you're getting a little bit of money from me, I feel like it'll be like, oh, sweet, amazing, thank you, but let's find you that next job.
So are you doing a 30% out the door? Or are you splitting some of the 10%?
It's pretty much it's a little bit higher than that, but yeah, I split equally. We all split equally.
You do
I find
also.
it easier to split. Yeah, I find it a lot easier to split equally. But I have all of them talk, and I make sure that they're all okay with each other because I think that's important. I
I do.
don't want to have my agent and manager separate because, like, I need it's just me, it's one person, and you all need to work together. So I think you all should be in a cohesive. I need a cohesive team. Otherwise, it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work that way. When I'm talking to a bunch of actors and they're trying to get different agents in different territories, how you get the team to communicate is on your best behalf, truly.
Yeah.
Or you're handling everybody separately, but then trying to figure out how to run that business is also a different strategy than who
Mhm.
gets president, who gets that audition. There has to be some groundworks, I think, put out there. Otherwise, it can get messy. It can get really
Yeah.
messy. You going from Designated Survivor to I Am Syd Stone, which was beautiful and lovely. God, what a job. What a beautiful job.
That was a dream, like independent job, man.
Yeah, thank God for independent television. We get some really good stories. Into Duster, while we're in this business side of it, what's the one thing that you've just learned that you wish you would have known earlier on as a younger actor from the business standpoint, going from a very big studio television show into an independent kind of television show series into now we're back at Max.
I think, oh man, the business aspect is contracts, I would say. It's
Thank you.
understanding your contracts, understanding some things, yeah, you can ask for, and they
Like
will
what?
give.
Will you be more tangible? Because anybody that's listening is like, great, yeah, it's contracts. What can I ask for? What can I not ask for? Or when I did my first job, I was like, oh wait, they put my residuals in. They front loaded it, so I'm not going to get residuals on. Literally, every job, I think you learn more about your contracts. I'm so glad you said that. If you'd be willing to
Oh
go
God,
there.
am I gonna say this? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I like the reason I love Canada. I love my country, but our union is just a little bit different. And I think the SAG is the reason why we all come down here because the SAG contracts are phenomenal and you get paid more money. And yeah, you guys get residuals because up there we get residuals tacked on when we book something. Yeah, I booked it as American, but then they transferred it to Canadian. So it messed me up a little bit. But with that contract, we said, okay, fine, he'll do this, but we need certain things. Because if I was booked as American, I would be getting all these things.
Yes, you'd be getting the residuals. You'd be getting a lot of those things. Yes.
Yeah.
Residuals being
So
the
I
biggest one. Yeah.
100%. So I took a hit on that because of just the way the contracts are up there. It's like I got paid for residuals, all that kind of stuff up front, which is okay, fine. So we asked for a relocation because where was I? Yeah, I was down here, but I was like I was in Vancouver. So we asked for like a relocation so they can relocate me to live there because that's not home. And they said fine to that. And then also a driver. So because where I was in downtown Toronto and the studio was in like Mississauga, close to the airport, and I'm not going to drive myself. So we said, hey, can we get him a driver? So they said, yeah. So there's stuff that you can ask for, and my team is just really good at asking for these things. And then I got it. So yeah, you can negotiate. You don't have to take the first contract that comes. You can negotiate.
You can negotiate. And it helped them because they were shooting in Canada. So that's going to be money's back in
Yeah.
their pocket. So smart on you guys. Did you do anything different with the Duster contract that every time I think somebody does a contract, they learn like oh, I can do this now. Because Duster is Bad Robot. So you're fully in, and you guys shot Arizona, I think, right?
We shot the
Mexico?
pilot in Arizona, but then we shot in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Of course. Did you learn anything new about that? So now you're doing a deal that they're not sending to Canada, right? They're doing full on American deal. Anything else that you learned as an actor that you're like, okay, great, I can do that now, or I can do this? Or was there anything that was different?
There wasn't really anything different. It was everything that I asked for when I did my other contract. I was like, oh, okay. It was already, yeah, it was pretty much already in there. And then since we were like living there local, it was like driving yourself, but like they covered a lot of stuff too. So it wasn't, yeah, there wasn't really anything different that would have changed, to be
Right.
honest. Yeah,
Well,
no, I was actually really happy with it. I was like, oh, damn, you guys are great.
yes. Don't wait. I love it. I call it going up the ladder. When you go up the ladder from project to project, and then
Yeah.
you get to go up the ladder and the business side of it too. But you don't know what you don't know. That's just the thing as an actor. And I don't think enough people talk about it. So thank you. Sarah Wayne Callies came on and talked about contracts for the whole entire hour. And it was a wonderful learning lesson of anybody that's listening to this, what is possible? Okay. How do you protect yourself as an actor? Or how do you and it's not just for this project, it is also for ongoing. SAG is great because your health and pension is right there. So the
Yeah.
residuals going in there is I think when you started to dream, 10 years in, you realize, oh, I'm going to make this into a career. 20 years in, okay, how am I going to sustain myself beyond?
Absolutely. And I think it's
Yes.
important too if you have a really good team, because my team is just really good, asking for things, and I'm like, really, guys? Sure, okay. They're like, no, we want you to have the best stuff. Like my team's just really good. So I read it, loved it, and I'm like, all right, cool. But they asked for stuff, and I'm like, oh, brilliant. Because a lot of people are, wait, yeah, no, everyone. I'm really easygoing. I just need to make sure no one is screwing me over or anything like that. I've never had that, and I've never want to have that. So I just make sure that my guys are ridiculously happy, and they're like, "Hey, are you happy? Do you want anything else?" And I'm just, everything is great, guys. I just want to work. I just want to get on the show. Like I am
Yes.
good.
You're so good. You're so good. So my last question, as Royce on Duster, and you guys did, how many episodes you guys do? 8? Is that right?
Yeah, we did it. Yeah.
Now, going back, it's a whole new muscle. There's a different muscle. It's like the marathon muscle for being on set versus the sprinting muscle for auditioning. How has Royce or working on Duster changed how you are now approaching what comes next? Auditions, characters.
Yeah, I've always, how am I, oh, okay. So every role I've ever done, it's going to sound weird, but I feel like one of the reasons why I'm so attracted and I feel this inspirational thing is almost every single role I've ever done, it has taught me something about myself and how to be either more confident or be like be kind to myself. It's everything has taught me something how to be a better human being. And coming from Royce, like this, God, this kid has taught me so much about life and where I want to go in my career and in my life. And that was just such an incredible experience. And taking from all of that, now it's a sense of pride and a sense of not in like a, oh my God, I'm better than everybody else, but a sense of pride, resilience, and the ability to stand in my own being that this has taught me and that I've started to bring on to my other auditions and other things that I've taken into not just the business, but also my life.
Yeah.
So that has been so pivotal for me.
I can't wait to see this. I'm so excited to see this. So it comes out mid-May, right? May 15th?
15th.
May
Yeah.
15th on Max. Where can everybody find you and follow you?
I am on Instagram is
On
pretty
the
much where you can
gram.
find me. On
No,
the gram. I'm on
we wanted to
TikTok, but
come to
not
your
much.
house. What's your house?
Show
On the
up my
gram.
house at the Benjamin Watson.
The Benjamin Watson. Thank you so much for letting me get into the nitty-gritty of building the blocks, because
Thank you.
that's what's I think so helpful. If you were
Mhm.
listening to this right now, you'd be like, "Oh shit, I can do that. I can do that. I can do this." Thank you.
Yeah, a lot. I've done a lot of the. I'm not. What am I trying to say here? I think the thing is, everyone has an idea as to it has to be this way, it has to go this way, you have to do this, you have to do that. And yeah, some of that is true, but sometimes it's just if every single person is taking this one road in this business to be an actor, like that doesn't make sense to me. You can go off the regular path. I've done it so many times. You can go off the regular path and make your own path to do your own thing. Like you don't have to follow everyone in that exact same path because like only 1% or 2% actually can do this as a full-time job. But it's just you don't need to be on this one. Create your own path. It's Los Angeles.
Yeah.
This place is you can. I think the thing I love about LA is yeah, there's like structure here, but you can pretty much do whatever you want in this industry. There's no right or wrong. There's just create your own path. Just make sure you have the talent to back it up, and then yeah, you're fine.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I love doing this, because every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, "You did that? Wow. Okay. cool. And then people can take what they want and leave the rest. Like, you can
100%.
be inspired. So this was inspiring, especially for anybody that's trying to do the dual. All of us Americans that are now like, Canada, please hire me. We're swapping. We're swapping.
Pretty much.
Thank you.